A Milwaukee police officer is accused of using Flock safety cameras to search for a lover's location. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson is live outside police admin, where he talked with Chief Jeffrey Norman. Brian.
Yeah, Police Chief Jeffrey Norman told me today he is disappointed and frustrated, while a policy analyst for the ACLU tells me he is not surprised. It was District 2 police officer Josue Ayala charged with attempted misconduct in public office. That's a misdemeanor. Prosecutors say the 8-year police veteran used his authorized access to the department's database of license plate scans to search for a person with whom he was in a relationship and to search that person's ex. They say he did it 179 different times. Police policy says officers are supposed to list the reason for every search, including the case number and the law enforcement related purpose for that search. But we're told Officer Ayala used just one word every time.
Where they're using one-word descriptions to justify why they are running people's license plates. And oftentimes the one-word description is just investigation. What are you investigating?
It's supposed to be used for the right reasons to ensure we impact public safety. And I take it very seriously when anyone within this organization harms or violates that public trust.
Now, according to the charging document, it was not police who figured out what was going on here. It was actually one of the victims who searched their own license plate on a website called haveibeenflocked.com. Once the victim reported what they found to police, detectives conducted a follow-up investigation and found the nearly 200 unauthorized searches. Prosecutors say the misdemeanor charge, by the way, that was part of a negotiation. They say that Officer Ayala agreed to resign from the department as part of that agreement. A spokesman, though, tells me that as of at least yesterday, he is still a Milwaukee police officer. Ayala, no.
All right, folks, here we go. 1984 is here, humans. I think a lot of us have been warning. There's been plenty of books and movies warning about this for many years, but now here we are. The controversy over Flock safety cameras. This is where we're at now. These they're for your own good. Whenever anything the government does that is designed to invade on your privacy, they always say it's for your own good, it's for your safety, your own safety, it's for kids, or it's to stop terrorism. So here we go with these Flock cameras. This controversy has become one of the biggest privacy and policing debates here in this country this year. I mean, so many of these cameras seemingly have come out of nowhere. The issue isn't just about cameras. It really isn't. It's about whether our government should be able to build a searchable history of where millions of us as Americans can go, drive, even when we aren't even suspected of having committed a crime at all. So how did we get to this place? Well, Flock Safety pioneered a nationwide network of ALPRs. ALPRs, automated license plate readers. These solar-powered cameras are mounted on utility poles, intersections, and roadways. They don't just photograph license plates, they also use artificial intelligence to identify your vehicle's make and your vehicle's model, the color of your car, any visible damage that has been done to your car, if you have roof racks on your car, if there's any bumper stickers, they are taking note of the bumper stickers you put on your car. So if you put Black Lives Matter on your bumper sticker, you put pro-choice or pro-life on your bumper sticker, Trump 2024, Obama 2020 to 2008, Bernie 2016, Jill Stein, whoever. Whatever your bumper sticker is saying, they are keeping track of that. And any other distinguishing figures there may be of your car. That is what these Flock and cameras are are doing. And of course, they're keeping the time and your GPS location. So you are basically being fully surveilled when you pass these cameras. Police at this point are able to search this database when supposedly investigating crimes. Flock is claiming that they can process billions with a B, vehicle detections every month across thousands of communities in this country. Now, they have a competitor called Axon Enterprise, best known for Exxon. They make most of the police cameras, the body cameras. They're competing directly with Flock by using their own integrated camera, drone, and license plate reader ecosystem. So now we're just in 1984 now, folks. I talked about this a few months ago. Your car is about to start being able to cut off on you if it senses that maybe you're drunk, or it senses that you're in a bad state of mind. If you're upset, your car can just cut off. They're going to force every single American car maker or anybody who sells cars here in America to instill these things in our cars. So your car is going to be able to, again, take whatever data that it wants to about you, your state of mind. Your car is going to be able to, if you say you're in your car with your mistress or your mister, paramour, whatever, say you're a married person and you're having an affair, your car will know. Your wife or husband may not know, but your cars will know. If you just had a bad breakup, you better believe your car is going to know. And so here we are with these Flock cameras now are just another bit. When I told you about these data centers, what are all these data centers for? Mass surveillance. These data centers are being used for mass surveillance. This is not about making cat videos on YouTube. We were watching cat videos on YouTube 10 years ago without all these data centers all over the place. We were watching YouTube. We were on Twitter. We were on Facebook. We were on Instagram 10 years ago. Did we have 1,000 data centers all over our country 10, 15 years ago? No, not like this. This is what this is for. This is what all these data centers are for, to fill out the mass surveillance state. And so now the people are upset. Of course, people are finally getting upset. There is a backlash about mass surveillance, and rightfully so. Many of these critics are arguing that these cameras effectively create a record of where all of us travel, which it does. We used to have a right to disappear. If I wanted to not be bothered with my family, with my friends, with my boss, with anybody, I could just get in my car and just say, get on the highway and go to Chicago, hang out, get something to eat, take in a movie, take in a White Sox game, and not have to be bothered by anybody. And now, here we are in the midst of the surveillance state. You make that drive now, you've been captured probably dozens of times on camera. Somebody's keeping track of everywhere you go. That hot dog you eating, that any cell phone calls you might have made, if you stopped at a McDonald's, if you ran through a red light or went 55 in a 45, they know about it. Thousands of linked cameras are creating a map of your movements over weeks and months and years. Obviously, the civil libertarians are not pleased with this at all. They are arguing that this is really resembling a warrantless location tracking rather than targeted investigation, which seems to me to be the case. And this can have real consequences. I want you to listen to this. Let me see. There's actually a woman who was tracked who went to have an abortion in Texas. And Don Lemon actually talked about this on his show.
Have you been paying attention to these? Take a look. Do you see that? They're called Flock cameras, and they're popping up in communities all over the country. They automatically capture license plates, and here's why they're making headlines. Authorities in Texas searched more than 83,000 of these cameras across the country while looking for a woman they believed had self-managed an abortion. The search reached into states like Washington and Illinois, where abortion protections are different from Texas. Whether you support abortion rights or not, this raises a much, much bigger question. When police have access to surveillance tools like this, where should the limits be? Technology built to investigate serious crimes is now being used in cases involving deeply personal medical decisions. That's a conversation every American should probably be paying attention to right now. What do y'all think?
I'm not the biggest Don Lemon guy in the world, but he's 1,000% correct here. Think about that. They used 83,000 cameras across the country to track a woman to see if she was having an abortion in one of the states where it's completely legal for her to have an abortion. Look at how fast this surveillance state has just popped up on us, man. Just look at, I mean, this is downright dystopian. And again, here we are with artificial intelligence. It's making these cameras far more powerful than any surveillance cameras used to be. License plates readers used to just read license plates. That was it. Now, they can identify vehicles even when the plates aren't readable. If temporary tags are being used, if a plate is missing, and officers only know vehicle characteristics. So this is where we are. And one of the biggest questions, like we heard in the intro, who can access this data? Who can access this data? We just heard about the cop in Milwaukee who was stalking people using the Flock cameras, using his power to stalk women. Is this the world we want to live in? One of the biggest controversies has been on the data sharing. So you have the data sharing between thousands of police agencies, whether federal agencies can access locally collected data. Obviously, this can be used for immigration-related investigations. You know, and there's audited logs showing who searched the database. All these things have led several cities to consider or terminate the cameras. You know, like I said, they just used 83,000 of these cameras to track a woman who was having an who may have been having an abortion in another state. And not only that, your data isn't even safe with these cameras. Really, your data isn't even safe. The controversy has intensified after reports have come that some internet-connected Flock cameras were inadvertently exposed online because of a configuration error. Flock has claimed that it fixed the issue. But many police departments are questioning whether sensitive surveillance infrastructure is actually secure. So again, you can have hackers. Even if you don't fear the police, hackers might be able to access all of your data. That's where we're at now. Hackers might be able to get in there and see what you're doing and where you might be able to be stalked by your neighbor or by some psycho. Imagine if you're a woman. I just can't imagine being a young woman and knowing that there are thousands of men out there, weirdos, who could have access to where my comings and goings, tracking me, stalking me at all times. And so now there is controversy about this. So you know what the elites do. They get slick. They get slick. And they go, well, you know, the Flock cameras aren't so good. You know, maybe we won't go with the Flock cameras. We'll go with the Axon cameras. Oh, yeah, these are much better. In Douglas County, Colorado, they recently dropped Flock in favor of Axon after the sheriff said that he had lost confidence in Flock during the camera exposure incident. And like, this was a crazy situation that went on in Colorado where the police actually accused this woman of theft. They said she had stolen something where she wasn't even in the vicinity because the cameras, the AI cameras, had told them that she was guilty. Listen to this.
A Denver woman says that she was wrongfully accused of theft after police tracked her car using Flock cameras.
Now, the camera system has been a point of controversy over privacy concerns, but it's been a praised tool by police who've used it successfully to track down suspects and make arrests.
But after the system was used to accuse her of a crime, one woman is warning everyone to have cameras of their own. Fox 31's Anna Kuhn sat down with her and has her story tonight. Anna?
Hey guys, well, the Columbine Valley police chief has since voided the court summons against this woman, but she says she never should have been accused in the first place. She says her car was never at the address where that package was stolen.
You know we have cameras in that town, and you can't get a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing, correct?
On September 27th, the Columbine Valley police officer came to Chrisanna Elser's door and issued her a summons to appear in court, accusing her of stealing a $25 package in the town of Bomar. The officer said he had doorbell video of the theft and had tracked her car in the area using Flock cameras.
It is locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. 100%.
The only problem with this case, she wasn't there, and she had the evidence to prove it. Dash camera video from her car, a log of her location from Google Maps, and doorbell video of her walking into her tailor's house when the package was stolen.
He just kept telling me that any evidence I had wasn't worth it.
Because you have not been honest with me, so I'm not going to extend you any courtesy of showing you a video when I don't need.
But I can show you videos.
No, you cannot.
After a few weeks, Elser was able to get in touch with the police chief, who wrote her in an email, quote, "After reviewing evidence you have provided, nicely done by the way, we have voided the summons that was issued." But Elser says she shouldn't have needed to prove her innocence and worries Flock cameras can paint a picture police will rely too heavily on.
They need to be used properly and be used with caution in a conversation versus we're now going to use this to accuse anybody and everybody.
We did reach out to the police chief for comment, but didn't hear back. Meantime, Elser is advising all of her neighbors to start collecting their own digital evidence. She says you never know when you might need it. Live in Littleton, Anna Kuhn, Fox 31.
Interesting, Anna. Thank you.
Yeah. So there you go. They literally, this camera literally falsely accused this woman of theft. And the police officer came to her door and was like, "Hey, I got you on camera. You did it." And she's like, "Nah, I didn't do it. I would know if I had done it. I'm right here." "Nope, you did it." What? What? This is the world we live in, folks. This is the world that we live in now. This is where we are. The dystopian future that we heard about all this time, it's happening. It's happening. And so a lot of people have started fighting back. You know, Americans, we are a very rebellious bunch. That's who we are. We're rebellious. That's what we do. We rebel. When our backs are against the wall, we rebel. I forgot who said eventually Americans will do the right thing after they've exhausted all other options. But it's true to an extent. After we've tried everything else, eventually, even us Americans will get around to doing the right thing. And so what you've seen is people reacting, taking our privacy back. There's an anti-surveillance movement across dozens of state. Activists are spray painting cameras, covering their lenses, cutting the poles, and one of probably the most legal way of fighting back they have done is they publicize where the cameras are. They put on, there's websites to track the Flock cameras, so you can know to avoid the places where the Flock cameras are. This is civil resistance to mass surveillance, so I'm sorry, I can't poo-poo it. I just can't. You know, we've been warned about this from science fiction for many years. And so we can't allow this to happen. We really can't allow this to happen. So there are some cities that are actually getting rid of these Flock cameras. LA, the LAPD paused and halted the use of Flock cameras. Paused while reviewing privacy and oversight concerns. 80 municipalities have either ended or declined Flock contracts amid privacy debates. Other cities, such as Conroe, Texas, have chosen to keep the cameras despite vocal public opposition. Of course, it's Texas. And so there's these arguments. Well, you know, this can help recover stolen vehicles. You know, what if kids are kidnapped or your loved one is kidnapped? You know, what if there's suspects fleeing a crime scene? What if there's a hit and run accident? You know, you get these hit and run accidents. They caught shootings. You know, and it's like the shot spotters down in Chicago that they have, and it's helped to find missing persons. And so the supporters are saying, well, these systems don't really perform facial recognition and are intended to capture vehicles rather than identify people directly. But as any of us who have cars or ever have cars know, our cars are a part of who we are, our personalities. The type of cars we drive often line up with our personal values, our beliefs. You know, when you see somebody in a Hummer, you get a certain idea of who that person is. If you see somebody driving a Tesla, especially nowadays, you get an idea of who that person is. You see somebody in a Corvette, you get an idea of who that person is. You get a profile. You may not know everything about that person, but you get a psychological or personality profile of who this person is. You know, and so to me, that dog doesn't hunt. There's a lot of things to criticize about this. Most of the people being recorded, obviously, are not criminals. So let's just say you catch 5 criminals. Well, you just spied on and violated the privacy of 500,000 people. Is it really worth it to catch 5 criminals if you got to violate the rights of 500,000 people to do it? You know, like we just talked about with the woman who was tracked, who may or may not have had an abortion. When you have this type of long-term location history, you can track things, whether or not somebody has been to a medical clinic, whether somebody's been to a religious service or a political event. Oh my God, wait till they start weaponizing this against activists. I mean, we talked very in depth on this show about the amount of political and social repression there's been to anybody who's spoken out against the genocide in Palestine, against the Palestinian people. And how, look at what happened at Columbia University when you had so many young people who had their scholarships taken away, were taken to jail, were accused of being violent criminals just because they protested against the genocide. Wait till they start weaponizing these Flock cameras against people who go to political rallies. And so we really don't know where this is headed. I will say one of my favorite members of Congress, even though he's a Republican and a libertarian, and I am neither one of those things, Thomas Massie seems to be one of the few people who's taking this seriously, has introduced legislation that would restrict federal funding for agencies using Flock systems, arguing they enable unconstitutional mass surveillance. I would suggest that I don't care whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, whatever, that you support that, and tell your elected officials to support that. Because once our privacy is gone, once our right to be left alone is wrong, whoa, we don't have anything. We don't have anything anymore. All right, folks, it's already 6:40. Good God. Man, this show is going by so fast already. When we get back, we are going to talk about Fauci and the Fauci ouchie on Capitol Hill the other day. So please stay with us here on WLTH 1370M. That is 92.7 in the FM dial. Give me a call, 219-885-1371. That number again, 219-885-1371. We'll be right back, humans.